We talk about inside out in relation to communication as well, from leaders in particular. And we had a fantastic example of this when we were in London recently. We met a really nice guy who was a fairly senior manager within a public sector organisation. And he confessed that he was having some difficulty with connecting with his team, with engaging and motivating his people. And we explored this a little bit with him, and we introduced the idea of communicating from the inside. And he said, well, what do you mean? And we explained that it was very much about, peeling away the layers of, the cover or the veneer that a lot of leaders and managers feel they need to have. It keeps them strong. It keeps them invincible. It keeps a kind of a distance between them and their team. But the trouble is that it can hinder their ability to connect with people on a human level, on a deeper level. And that distance can cause difficulties in getting people to do what you want them to do. So we explored what was inside him a little bit. We asked him the why question. Why do you do what you do? Why do you feel strongly about what you do? And in the course of the conversation, he revealed something interesting about his background. And that was that he'd always battled with dyslexia. And it was something that he felt a little embarrassed about. He kind of hid it. He dealt with it as best he could. And he didn't feel it was really relevant to tell people about it. It was something, I guess, in a way he was slightly ashamed of. And it turned out that on reflection, it was very much influential in his current views and beliefs, the things he held dear, things to do with fairness and justice and so forth, because they related to the fact that he wasn't treated very well when he was younger and he had dyslexia. So he did something quite interesting after the meeting. Unbeknown to us, he emailed us a few days later and said that he'd convened a meeting of his employees, the people on his team. And he'd told them his story. He told them how he'd always battled with dyslexia, how he was rather embarrassed about it, but, he realised on reflection that it had made him who he was. And the results were astonishing. It turned out that he was approached by several people in the days following, people who now wanted to share with him things that they had inside them. And the connection that he felt and was able to establish with those people. They invited him to parties, they invited him to a Diwali festival, and these people had never really had a proper conversation with him on anything other than a superficial level. And it was a wonderful example of what we mean by inside-out communication. In other words, you can't connect with people properly unless you show them what you're like inside. And that requires you to peel away some of those layers, which makes you feel vulnerable. And that's the fear that leaders and managers have. They can't show weakness. I've got to keep this veneer in place. The trouble is it stifles or hinders the ability to connect with people and build functional relationships. So take a leaf out of that gentleman's book and have the courage to reflect on who you are, what you've got inside you, and then communicate that and be a little bit more open with the people who you have on your team.